It says it's live streaming now. Are we ready?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. It's 5 o'clock. At this time, I'd like to call a special meeting for the city of Mangum to order. Would you please do a roll call, Billy?
Gay. Reese.
Here.
Webb.
Here.
Bowman.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum. Item number 3 on the agenda is discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2020-41, amending the FY20 budget for the general fund and golf fund. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion, we amend the budget.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, now any discussion on that? Any questions about this resolution?
Yeah,
Okay.
Dave, can you sort of give us some background on what's happening?
Yeah. When we did the calculation for exactly how much this was going to cost us for the rest of this year, I did that on the back of my hand, if you remember at that meeting, to look at what our total costs were and how much that was going to really affect us. This is just to get us through June. We were short a little bit. So the amendment that we're doing is just to bring over enough expenditures on the golf side to get us through the fiscal year. That's all.
So
Sorry.
that's okay. It's just entertaining.
Right?
Nothing like a Zoom meeting. So
I'm going to throw the phone down the hall.
you're making me forget my question.
That's what I was trying to do.
So what's the total? 'Cause I'm going to be honest, I'm having difficulty with the format it came over to me to see what's in what column. So what's the total that we're having to expense out for that? The additional amount that's needing to be moved.
Billy, do you have that right in front of you?
No, I don't have it right here. Oh, yeah, I do. No, I don't. It's 30,000.
And we're pulling it out of general fund?
Yes.
And Dave, was that, you said that's just to get us through June?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking it was beyond that, but
You've
No,
got
this is just to get us through the end of June.
Any other discussion and comment?
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, so give me just a second. My apologies.
Okay.
So by moving this will get us through the end of June, but then we still have from July through what?
July starts a whole new budget.
Right, but so
This
When do we
amendment
expect-
is just to get us through the end of this budget year.
when do we expect for the course to be able to be opened up? Is that something that,
That's what we're here to discuss tonight. That's
So I can touch on that for a second, Mr. Webb. So as we've kind of gone through this process, I think a lot of the reason you guys don't have any grass out there is because your irrigation system was just jacked up. It is still jacked up, but I think we've got it at least so it's usable.
Hey, Mike, hang on a
Yes.
second. We are actually going live. We are live right now on
Okay.
YouTube. And for those who are watching, Mike Painter is the general contractor with West Texas Turf.
Yes.
He has taken over the greenskeeping operation for the next couple of years just to get us back with the greens. And that contract was approved over the winter, and they've been working on it since. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, that's right. So we spent, the best part of March just trying to figure out how to get the water to actually flow. There was a couple of mysterious valves out there that needed to be hunted down with the help of some of the city guys. That got figured out. We had to replace all your sprinkler heads, figure out, like I said, the valving, repaired a lot of bad wiring, replaced a lot of bad valves. Since then, the beginning part of May, we finally got started prepping the greens, getting them ready. They are all seeded. They're being irrigated. We're supplementing the irrigation with kind of a wire-based impact sprinkler in the middle, because I think what's out there will maintain the turf. It's just not enough to grow the turf. So my hope is, due to this process, I think it's going to be slow in the summer just strictly because of the heat, but I'm still shooting for you guys to be able to crack the doors sometime in October. That's my hope.
With everything that's hit us, Dave, with the economic impact and all this other stuff, and this $30,000 calculation issue, is this something that I get that we've already entered into the contract and stuff, but is this something that we need to focus on right now?
Yeah, we have to, and the reason is because if we don't get this done, then we're not going to have enough funding in that budget to pay out the contract and to get us through the end of this year.
Do we have the money in the general fund?
Absolutely, we're 200,000 right now in the positive for the general fund. We're in good shape right now. Where we're going to run into problems is next month, because if you remember, we're 2 months behind on our sales tax revenues.
What does that mean for us as far as run into problems, as far as moving this money?
Nothing. It's not going to run. It's not going to come into anything. It's just how much money is left over at the end of this year to go into our fund balance.
But we should still have a fund balance. It's just not going to be as big as
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna look pretty good on our fund balance for the general fund this year. We should be zero. I mean, really, we should sit at zero balance. We're sitting at 200,000 for the end of the year balance. That's amazing. Where our balance is, and we're getting into a discussion that needs to happen tomorrow, because this is really talking about next year's budget.
Right, and I get that. I'm just, in order for me to make an educated decision, I'm trying to figure out the money side of things, because that's really what we're doing, is we're asking to move the $30,000 from general fund into the to the golf fund.
I think we lost Travis.
Yeah, I think so too.
Corey, do we need to hold? We still have a quorum.
Yeah, we need to wait for him to get back on before we continue.
Okay.
Just a side note on this thing too, is I think we're going to be either out this week or early next week to mow that whole place down, get it back to looking respectable.
Good. That was my next question.
Yeah, try to, because it was supposed to be within May.
Again, let's wait for
Obviously-
Travis to get back on before we continue the discussion, because that's kind of what the open meeting act requires, is that if we lose contact with one trustee, we have to wait for that trustee to regain connection before we can continue the discussion.
Said he's trying.
Okay. I was about to text him. He's sinking in now.
There he is.
There we go.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my cable internet just quit, so I had to just log in on my phone. Sorry.
Okay, we can continue the discussion.
All right. I was saying we're gonna jump out either late this week or next week just to kind of help out, and we're gonna get that place mowed back down. Luckily, it hasn't been overly wet over there. The original plan was the inmates were gonna do it for obvious reasons. Those inmates aren't out there, so we're gonna try to help out and pick up a little bit of extra slack at least for the rest of this month, and then moving forward, we'll figure that out.
Thank you. That's appreciated.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Okay, any more discussion, questions about this resolution? If not, would you call for a vote?
Webb,
Why am I first? Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Going on to item number 4, report from West Texas Turf regarding the current situation at the golf course.
Oh, we kind of jumped ahead than me earlier.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit.
Sorry. So as I said, we've got all your heads swapped out, nozzled to the best we can. The biggest issue out there is the feed lines on those greens are 1 inch, and with friction loss and everything else, you're only looking at about 16 gallons a minute. A standard golf rotor runs somewhere between 35 to 50 gallons a minute. So we've got it to where the heads basically put out about 3.8 gallons a minute. They're going to run for a long time when they do run. But as I said, I think once we get them grown in and we're going to tap into the quick couplers in the fairways and the quick couplers on the greens to supplement that water to be able to get them up and get them established, then we should be able to keep them alive for you. But I'm guessing that's probably what happened last year, because a lot of the heads that were out there, I don't know how many of you messed with irrigation at your house, but you've probably got PGPs and some other small little heads. We've got I-25s in there right now, which is a fairly large, it's more of like a baseball rotor. There was a lot of PGPs and a lot of just Home Depot Rainbird sprinklers that were thrown about 10 or 15 feet. So my guess is that's probably mostly what happened to you last year. You had a wet spring, everything got up, got going, and then just kind of went south from there. So heads are fixed, valves are operational. We've got 2 extra valves on property. Wiring's been identified and fixed. Everything's been seeded. We're hoping to see germination. We should see some sprouts starting to come up here Wednesday or Thursday. And then from there, we'll just keep going. We've applied 2 fungicide treatments to the seed. So as they do pop, they will be protected. Seedlings are very susceptible to a disease called Pythium. You can basically wipe them out. So we're sprayed there. We'll spray it about 10 days after emergence. We'll spray another 14 days after that. At that point, the plant will be 30 days old. We should be mature enough to be able to withstand You guys are a little more humid than say West Texas is, but it's not enough to be Alabama, Mississippi humid. And then from there, we'll just push them and top dress them and fertilize them and get them going as best we can. We expect to see a lot of weeds in early. As we mow, the majority of those weeds will go away because they can't take the height of cut. So if all goes well, we'll be mowing grass in the next 14 days.
Sounds good. Does anybody have any other questions, comments? Come on, Travis, you gotta have something.
I mean, he's answered all of my questions, and I'll offer to him. I've spoken to Greg about it. I know there's a lot of people very excited about it, and if they run into anything that they need some help with, or just reach out, because I've had a lot of people contact me saying, they would help mow or help, raise money, whatever we're going to need to do. And, just to have the opportunity, because everyone kind of feels like, and I think we would agree too, this is kind of our last shot at it, because we can't keep doing this and keep supplementing like we are.
Right. Yeah, you guys need revenue coming in on that thing.
And I'm going to agree with Travis, at least for me. I don't know that I could vote for another, to continue something like this if we're going to continue to supplement at this pace.
Right.
So this is a last shot for us, for me.
Absolutely. And so I could tell you too a little bit. We obviously we're in Altus. Altus is a bit different of a situation. They had better irrigation, fairly new greens built, but nevertheless, they were pretty run down. And they were on their last gas. My best guess, their last year they operated, if they made 60 or 70,000 bucks, I'd been surprised. Their numbers were not right. Their data was all over the map. But we knew what was coming in the door as we took over. I budgeted this year to go up 15% over last year. And we're blowing that out of the water. So I'm expecting Altus this year to turn 140, 145, which is a pretty substantial jump. We've almost doubled what they were bringing in the door. I don't know that you guys will ever hit the 145. I don't know what the play is from the surrounding towns outside, further away from Altus to you guys. But I would think, my hope for you would be we could maybe see you guys land in there somewhere between that $70,000 and $100,000 range, and then you're supplementing, 20, 30 grand a year just to, kind of keep it as an amenity in the town. That's typically what I see in a lot of these municipalities is some of them are dropping 400 grand, and I just don't understand it. I mean, I'm all for keeping golf, but at a certain point, you're right. You gotta cut bait and go. But I think we can give you every opportunity to see what that place can do, get the people back out there, have the amenity for your town, and hopefully be a very small burden on you guys financially. That's the goal from our standpoint for you.
That would be perfect.
Okay, any more questions? If not, let's go on to item number 5. Discussion and possible action to amend the golf contract with West Texas Turf.
So this is just a discussion. We're not actually going to make that decision until we can get a contract written. What I wanted to do is really kind of discuss what our options are for next year. Greg has talked to me. Greg is also from West Texas Turf. He's the guy on the ground, so to speak. He has talked to me about some options for West Texas Turf to take over some other aspects of the course. Mike, can you talk to any of those, or?
Yeah, so the current deal is roughly $7,900. I think next year we were going to drop it down to $7,300, roughly, give or take. I don't have the contract in front of me. I should, but I don't. But with the inmate situation, obviously, that was based on the original contract states that there'll be 2 inmates 40 hours a week out there doing the outside work. We've kind of crunched some numbers and being able to pick up a piece of equipment here or there. We think we can do it all for you, instead of the contract going from 79 to 7,300, leaving it at the $7,900 for the final 2 years. And we will take care of basically every aspect of your outside world. So you don't have to rely on the inmates. We don't have to rely on the inmates. We're going to bring in another piece of equipment to take care of all that. We're going to supply the labor to take care of all that. Basically the mowing of the tees, the fairways, all the large area turf that was originally set up to be inmate labor. Obviously this year's thrown everybody a curveball. But looking at it, I think we can pull it off comfortably for that number. And then that takes it totally off of your all's plate. You got to worry about staffing the inside. Once the doors do open, you don't have any concerns on the outside. West Texas will take care of all that for you.
When is that contract up for negotiation, Dave?
It's not officially up until March or January, I think is when we actually sign that contract. Yeah. But if we're going to do something, we need to do it so that we're budgeting for it beyond January of 2021. That's why I wanted to have this discussion, because if I'm budgeting, I want to budget for the 7,900 or the 7,300. That way we know what we're budgeting for. And I'll tell you right now, my recommendation is that we go with this and let them be the experts for the outdoor portion of this course. Finding a greenskeeper and relying on the inmate labor to do that is, I think it's kind of a mistake. If we're going to have a professional course, I think we need to have professionals running the outside of it. And it really, in order for us to run out and if you remember last year, we had a payout that we had to pay on an individual that fell through a water sprinkler valve cover. And the reason we had to pay that out was because the insurance wouldn't cover it for us, because an inmate was responsible for doing the watering of the grounds. And because that inmate was responsible for doing that, that inmate could have left that valve cover open, and therefore the city is not liable for anything that an inmate does. Now, I hope you all remember that this was a huge problem. It was a huge problem for me. Our liability was through the roof on that. And if we don't have to have those inmates out there, I would prefer it. You know, the more kids that we're running out of that golf course, and they're doing their kids programs out there, I would rather not have them out there. I'd rather have a professional company with professional greenskeepers that are vetted.
And this is where we can go ahead and budget for the 79, but we don't enter into the contract again until January.
That's correct.
So we could actually see what 3 months are going to look like before we entered into that contract.
Yes. And I'll tell you this right now, and I do not want to get into the discussion, but the budget that I gave you is that number.
Is the 79?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. I have built the budget for this year on that number.
But we don't have to make that decision until January.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. Yes.
And
now, if you guys were to tell me right now that you're not interested in doing it, I'll change the budget back.
Ronnie,
but it's going to save us $2,000.
Ronnie, I'm with you on. I wouldn't be comfortable making a 2-year commitment right now.
Oh no.
Because I have said this, I do think we're going to get a lot of play out there as soon as the course is playable. I think there's a lot of excitement, and I think we're going to get, I don't know that we're going to be self-sufficient like we were in 02, 03, but I think we're going to get really close to that. And if we can get close to that, kind of what Mike touched on, I think it's worth it to have the amenity for the city. But if for some reason it flops, and if we have harsh weather and we lose the greens again, or there's no interest and we don't get the membership up, then I think we cut our ties and are done with it.
And Travis, what I'm proposing is that I don't think it will be self-sufficient. I think we're going to have to, the city's going to have to put in around 30,000 a year, which to me is appropriate to keep that type of amenity. But 80,000 is not for me. That's the only reason. I want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we have some leeway to be able to do that. And from October to December, we've got 3 months to be able to, because honestly, it's rare. October and November are really decent. And it's not till about mid-December that we really get bad weather. Now watch, I've jinxed the entire town of Mangum. We're going to have a 10-foot snowstorm on October 31st.
Don't say that.
Well, and what we'll need to look at is, when you get to October, November, you're kind of past your prime golf season. I do think if the course opened in October, there would be people buying memberships. But I think we then look at it and gauge it at that point, because we could have a lot more interest come February and March when it starts to warm back up. But we'll be able to look at that point. And like you said, the contract doesn't renew till January, so we can reevaluate then.
What about, I know when Jimmy Joe was handling some of the stuff, we had at least interest in some tournaments. Who would be the person in control of acquiring those tournaments and getting those things moving again?
I talked to Greg. Okay.
Yeah. Greg could be a resource there. And then, as this progresses, the creation or formation of the golf board can be involved in that as well.
We're going to have to hire indoor staff. Somebody's going to have to manage it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to open that up. And Greg is going to help us. He's talked to me about it, and he's volunteered to help us find somebody that'll do that. I've never interviewed a golf person before, so I don't know the right questions to ask. I'll be honest, and that's just something that it's not in my forte.
Will they show up on time, and will they not steal the cash? Those are the two main things.
So there you go.
If I was at a point to where I could retire, which I cannot, then I would be interested. But yeah, I still have a few years.
Right. So we're going to have to get to that point, and that point will come in probably September timeframe, where we're going to have to start hunkering down and looking for a couple of people, one for the winter, and then seasonally bringing in one or two part-time folks to help, that we can keep it open on the weekends as well. And I budgeted for that.
Okay, anything else? No more questions?
There's no action that needs to be taken. I just wanted to get you guys' heads up on it and give you some food for thought on why you're seeing what you're seeing on the budget for next year, and what is being offered from West Texas Turf. And I think it's a great option. And I really hope that we're going to see this thing turn around. I'm a golfer myself, and I'm ready to give up on it if it fails. This is that last chance, and I think we need to give it every chance we can in this last round.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mike, for all the information. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, that'll be the end of our meeting. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd make that motion.
Should I have a second?
A second.
I have a second. Would you please call for a vote?
Bowman,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your time, and we will be meeting again tomorrow for the budget.
That's correct.
So we will see you then. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.